Exactly. Oh, you know all about that. Mark knows all about that. We're here to celebrate Helga Brown turning 80 on January 16th. Woohoo! So George Burns said, by the time you're 80 years old, you've learned everything. You just have to remember it. Just to give you an idea of how much Mom really does have to remember. Where she landed in history, it was January 1935. So in 1935 January, Elvis Presley was born on January 8th. Amelia Earhart became the first person to fly solo across the Pacific Ocean. That was on January 11th. And on January 16th, Helga Karen Stortro was born at St. Mary's Hospital in Timmins, Ontario. That's pretty much the three main events of 1935. Everything else was very depressing, if you get my drift. At that time, gasoline was 10 cents a gallon. You could buy a car for $625. Mom grew up in Northern Ontario. Timmins, Berks, Porcupine. Rule route 0 degrees. Her 5 kids are thankful for her hearty Scandinavian genes and her fearlessness of weather. Weather will never keep my mom down. In 1945, when Mom was 10 years old, World War II ended. That's a lot of memories. Mom remembers babysitting Aunt Elsame, and Elsame couldn't be here today, but please take the story home. She was babysitting. The radio was on all the time in the house, Mom says. No TV, no internet. Everything was on the radio. An announcement came over that the war was over, Hitler was dead. And Mom remembers scooping up Elsame and running out to the back where Grandma and Grandpa, her parents, were hoeing potatoes. And they all danced in the garden. And that's a really vivid 10-year-old memory that she has. And she has lots of other stories like that. So I encourage grandkids to get those stories from Grandma someday. Also, that same year in 1945, just to point out, that was when U.S. dropped the atomic bomb on Japan. So there's a lot of scary things happening in the world then, just as there are now. You just didn't hear about it the same way that we do. The average home, for the hockey kids, I wanted to let you know, when Mom was 10, Maurice Richard set a new record for the most goals in a single hockey season that year. In 1945, when you were 10, gas was 15 cents, and you could buy a new car for $1,020. In 1950, when Grandma was the age of Paul, he's not here today either, but that's her youngest grandson, the music on the radio was Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett, and Doris Day. Hey, Sarah, Sarah, tunes like that. In high school, Michael and Joey, when Grandma was in high school like you are now, she was the captain of the girls' volleyball team. She was a key player on the basketball team, and she was identified by her peers as the person to go and represent the school at the Ontario Athletics training camp. So your athletic genes, you can compliment your grandmother for some of those. The music on Grandma's radio at the end of high school, where you are now, Joey, was doo-wop. Chuck Berry, Little Richard, Buddy Holly. Her generation really broke it out with fun music and dancing. And on the brink of moving from up north down to Ottawa, it was stuff like Bill Haley and the Comets, Shake, Rattle, and Roll. So she was really had the world by the tail at the point that she moved down to Ottawa. Vanessa, when Grandma was your age, she was in nursing school in Ottawa in residence. And that's where she met her future sister-in-law, Aunt Gloria. Mom and Aunt Gloria, yeah, they dated Dad and Ronnie. That was the days of the slick back hair on the guys and the ruby red lipstick on the girls. And I bet there's some untold stories there. We should probably talk about that later. In 1957, Chris, that's when Grandma was your age. She was working at the Ottawa Civic Hospital as a nurse. And that's when she got lucky and married Stuart Brown. And Aunt Linda, his young sister, is here. At that time, the average car sold for $2,749 and gasoline was 24 cents a gallon. In 1958, Matt, when she was your age, she had her first child, me. Can you imagine having me at your age? and Stu started their family in Ottawa, where Steve, Barb, and I were born. And cousin Donald came along there too. But soon Helga was making a home in Toronto, where Karen was born. After Toronto, we moved to Huntsville. By the time she was Josh and Trevor's age, she had 4 children. By the time she was Carrie and Tyler's age, she was into full-time professional motherhood. I mean, women's magazine stuff. Like the picture in the magazine looked like the food on the table. Mom really was a barrel of energy, and she was a great mom for us. And now that I fully understand everything you did, I have no understanding of how you pulled it off. We moved on to Timmins, where Heather was born, but that wasn't the end of moving around. From there, Helga made homes in Chatham, London, Markham, Sutton, and now here in lovely downtown Markham. Mom taught us that there's good people everywhere, you just have to find them. And how do you find them? You participate, you get involved. That's how she found her great Sutton friends, her Markham friends, and all her other friends that wishes she was maybe born in July so they could be here. So Mom taught us the importance of family and friends through her actions, even now. So here's a little known fact, and I'll join you later for speaking about this. But way back in 2013, when Mom was a mere 78 years old, she was inducted into the June Colwood Circle of Outstanding Volunteers. It's an award given out by the province of Ontario. She was recognized for 19 years of volunteering at Hospice Georgina. In the newsletter, they thank Mom for her enthusiasm and compassion. And when I read that accurate description of my mother, enthusiasm and compassion, and I saw a picture of her on stage shaking the hands of the provincial minister and the head of Hospice Ontario, I realized our secret is out. The world knows about our Helga Brown. The lady who walks everywhere like it's a timed hike, would never miss a Zumba class, but will come to a full halt to give someone a kind word or to do a favor to make someone's life easier. That's my mom. She kind of makes Elvis and Amelia look like dusty old legends, don't you think? So Helga Brown, you're a special lady to everyone here today. Having you in our lives is a blessing. As you celebrate another year, we hope you will find all the joy and the happiness you so deserve. Happy birthday, Mom. Now, we have some few other people that have some things to say. Your friends at the back table have something prepared. Steve has some things to say. Okay. So the mic